Simon, it's been a very busy week or so here at the football club. What can you tell us about what's going on over the last week and the latest updates from behind the scenes?
Well, I think probably it's been a really busy year, but it's sort of reached a crescendo in the last week or so. So there's been lots of conversations with lawyers and various different people on the whole Morton House side of things, trying to get that over the line and get that completed. We've still got the EFL investigation going on. That's hopefully going to reach a conclusion next week, so that will all be put to bed. And then, of course, we made the very difficult decision to change the manager, and we've had 7 days of speaking to as many people as we can and trying to find the right person for this football club to take over the manager and drive us forward in the future.
You covered it briefly in the statement that we put out when Jim Bentley was appointed, but what was it about Jim that you thought would be a great fit for this football club?
Well, I think the first thing you have to think is when you change manager, on paper there's hundreds of people look fantastic for the football club, and you talk to people and there's not many that seem like a really, really good fit. And when I mean a good fit is they have to accept us for what we are here. I think we've got great facilities at the ground. We don't have the biggest backroom staff, for example, for a manager to come and work with. So if somebody's wanting to bring 20, 30 people with them as exaggeration, but along those lines, we haven't got the budgets for that level. We unfortunately haven't got our own training ground, so you've got to accept that and work within the parameters that we've got. And some people you speak to and you can see that's going to be a problem for them. And then there's also the recognition of the club, what's really important to us, being the head of the community, and that is really important. The academy and the history of players coming through the academy, getting the side's really important. And we've been through one hell of a fight for this last 12 months. And we want to see that on the pitch as well. That represents who we are as well. So you want to have a manager that's got that fight in them and everything as well. And when we sat down and talked to Jim, it became fairly obvious fairly quickly that it was a really good fit for us. And that all aside, he did brilliantly well at Morecambe for a number of years, did well at Fylde. So he's got the experience of this league, he knows what it's all about and how to win games at this level, even on really small budgets like he had for Morecambe for many years. So we're really pleased to welcome Jim to the club, and I'm sure it'll be a great success here.
Yeah, at Morecambe he was very highly regarded by supporters, but also people in the town as well, and he really brought the community together there. And when he met myself and Greg and Ash from the media team yesterday, we very much got that sense from him. He spoke about bringing the community together, but also the academy as well. Are you very excited about that aspect of what he can bring to the club as well as what he can do on the pitch?
Yeah, because that's what we are, and we want a figurehead for the club that can bring all these people together. And we've all stuck together well over the last year, and we want to stick together now on the fight on the pitch to move up the league this season. And he seems a really infectious personality that will galvanise us all to do that.
Off the pitch, as you said, it's been a very busy 12 months, which has culminated this week with regarding the share purchase. What can you tell us about the last 12 months? Obviously, every now and again there'd be statements going out, and we'd keep supporters as updated as we can, but there's probably been a lot of work that people may not have seen as well.
I mean, firstly I'd like to thank all my fellow directors, because when I talked to them about signing up to become directors of the club, nobody quite realised what they were getting themselves in for. And there's a real threat that if this went all the way to the court, the Supporters Trust have been doing a fantastic job fundraising to help meet those legal costs, but we're just about to start the phase now where the legal costs almost go out of control to get towards the court. We have to start paying barristers that charge a fortune, we have to do a whole load of due diligence, and then when we get to the court, it was such a, well, the barrister described it to me as an interesting case, which is never a good thing to listen to, because if it had gone to court, there's no guarantee who was going to win, which meant then it may well end up bouncing around the High Court as well, and it was the directors responsible for all these costs that could have reached in excess of £1 million. So that's a lot of stress for everyone to live with. So I thank them for fighting through this. So we've been working really hard over the last few months, well, over the last year, to try and, we had the hostile takeover attempt. Everyone came together brilliantly and thwarted that to start with. We needed to raise money for the club, so we did that through the share issue, and then that led to the legal action. So been trying to take it one step at a time and not look at all the dire consequences that were further down the line. But we've managed to keep doing it one step at a time, keep our cool, very good legal support from HY solicitors, and we've come to the position now where we've managed to purchase those shares back for the football club. Now the directors have bought those shares, and again, when I asked them to sign up, that kind of financial input into the club was never discussed, and almost, although they're all very willing to do it, almost forced into that situation. So the next phase that we're moving on to now will be looking at how the directors that have bought those shares can then sell them on, and sell them on in the same ethos that we're a fan-owned and fan-led club. So we either may want to make, if there's the interest, make the shares available for fans to buy. Anybody that's interested in investing in the club, there'll be a percentage of shares that we can perhaps sell to them. And the other thing that we'll look to do, if that isn't the case, is perhaps do some kind of bond issue in the future, whereby we raise money via a bond that the club can then buy those shares back. But last week was a big celebration of securing the future of the club, and now it's looking again into the future, how we can continue to extract ourselves from the situation we found ourselves in.
I wanted to ask, what were the overriding emotions when you received the news that the purchase of the shares had been completed, and the situation that had been rumbling on for 12 months was now at its conclusion?
Well, there's a lot of sleepless nights being caused by this, so relief was probably one of the massive emotions, but then jubilation as well, because we've done all this to try and secure the club. We didn't want it to be going the way of a bury or anything like that, so we've got the club secure now. We haven't got a mortgage, we've got fantastic facilities, a little bit of difficulty on the pitch at the moment. We've taken the steps to try and address that, so very confident that that fighting spirit will be taken onto the pitch, and we'll get out of that problem. So I think we've passed the rock bottom now, and we're on an upward trajectory, and we've got a really good base now to build the football club for the future.
You touched on it briefly there about what might happen with those shares going forward. Will a further update come in due course once you've obviously had time to sort of digest it all?
That's it. So the focus has just been purely on getting those shares back off of Morton House, and even if we'd have gone to court with Morton House, those shares would still been an issue. So we needed to get those shares back in the hands of people that we want the shares in the hands of. So our whole focus has been on that, with a little bit of an eye of what we could do in the future, obviously, when we're doing this. But very much now we're going to look at the way forward and how we can move those shares on, and the best ways of doing that.
You mentioned right back at the start regarding the Dale Trust and supporters and their amazing fundraising efforts. How much thanks goes to them, not just for the fundraising efforts, but the way everyone's come together. It's been unbelievable, the amount of work it's gone in by supporters across the whole of the UK and beyond. Yeah,
well, it's incredible, really, and it's what football's about. It brings people together. We'd have lost the club without that fundraising effort by the Supporters Trust, because the individual directors and the Supporters Trust wouldn't have been able to keep funding the legal costs, because the bills would have just got far too big. So we'd have just had to have given in, basically. So it was because of that, and the way we all came together to fight Morton House. They realised that we weren't just going to roll over like they hoped when the legal proceedings were produced. And yes, we're forever grateful to everybody that's been involved in it. Really, it's brings a lump to your throat thinking about it.
Just sort of wider club related stuff we've got going on at the moment, looking at the makeup of the directors now. Of course, we obviously you've spoken about the 7 statutory directors. We've of course have Chris Harrison and John Smallwood, who people know as the non-executive directors, and of course we've had Susie Orr come on board very recently. What can you tell supporters about Susie?
Well, Susie's very passionate about all things female, really, and that's what we're lacking a little bit in the club. It's no good having an all-male boardroom. You need different perspectives on things and different eyes looking at things, and that's what she brings. She's got fantastic energy. She's got a great commercial brain. We're at the match at Accrington last night, and she's got a notebook of all the things that we should be bringing here and trying to implement at this club. So it's really great to get that energy into the club and new ideas and fresh ideas, and contribute like every one of our directors do in their own particular area. So really pleased to have her on board, and look forward to putting the initiatives and ideas that she's got into action over the coming months.
Looking at season cards as well, I know when we spoke, when they first went on sale, you're hoping to get to that 2,500. We came very, very close to that and absolutely smashed through the number of season cards we sold last year. How pleased are you with the number we got to in the end? I'm
really pleased on a couple of accounts. One, the number we got to, we're aiming for 2,500 is a really ambitious number, and maybe if we'd had a really successful start to the season and won the first 3 or 4 games, we might have got there, but unfortunately that wasn't to be. But the support in what wasn't a successful season last year or a particularly successful start to this season, to get to 2,200 season cards, we're really pleased with. And then the other thing that I'm really pleased with is the atmosphere in the ground that we've had for the games. Second half on Saturday, when the energy levels went up, you could feel it all round the ground, and that transmitted to the players, and that's how you lift their performances as well. I think we probably saw last night at Accrington, style of play might change a little bit and become more high tempo, and for the players to keep up with that energy required, they need to feed off the crowd. So that's been really good to see as well. Yeah,
just on the atmosphere, the overquoters of course are still very much in their infancy, and that they're growing organically, but they've made such an impact in such a short space of time, haven't they?
Yeah, because we have been very quiet here in the grounds in the past. There's an argument that the better the football and the better the results, and that transmits, but it's working together. And as I said to Jim Bentley, if we see the effort from the players and the fight that everybody's shown off the pitch, that'll easily get transmitted into the crowd, and it'll be a great atmosphere in here, as it has been.
And just finally, as we're talking about supporters, do you have a message for our fans as we sign off this interview?
Yeah, it's been a difficult start to the season to us. We are where we are now, so I just ask everybody, let's do what we've done for the whole last year off the pitch, all stick together, and really get behind Jim and the team now to drive us forward and up the table for the rest of the season.